Kawhi Leonard is known to be a lockdown defender in the NBA and is in discussion to be one of the best defenders of all time. Teams have to adjust their whole playstyle while matching up against the Claw to prevent scoring droughts and excessive turnovers. He also has one of the best records against LeBron James, being 15 wins and 9 losses so far at the time of this recording. But how did he get here? How did he create a name for himself? And most importantly, what did he do to become the Claw? What is up, everybody? It is your boy Fo here, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the game where Kawhi Leonard would prove his worth and became the Claw. Kawhi Leonard was drafted by the Indiana Pacers in 2011, but was dealt to the San Antonio Spurs in a deal which was revolving around George Hill. Yeah, this is a horrible trade. His first 2 years, really, he didn't get too much recognition. He was a role player on the Spurs who averaged 7.9 points per game, 5.1 rebounds per game, and 1.1 assists per game. His defensive presence was noticed early on by the team, as he did average 1.3 steals per game. His second year was where he really started to make a name for himself. In just his second year, the Spurs had a really good team, and it was fortunate for Kawhi to be on a championship potential roster at a very young age. Not only was he just on the roster, he was a key player to their team. In the 2012-13 season, the Heat had a big three formed, being LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh. From the start, lots would predict a Spurs vs Heat matchup was bound to happen in the 2013 NBA Finals, and those people weren't wrong. In Kawhi's second year, his team was in the finals, and not only were they just there, it was against one of the greatest players of all time, LeBron James. Through the first 3 games in the finals, Kawhi was put against LeBron quite often. The plays Kawhi guarded LeBron, he held him to just 16.7 points per game, with a 38.9 field goal percentage, and a 23% rate from 3-point range. Before this series, LeBron was averaging 26.2 points per game, with a 51.4% from the field, clearly showing Kawhi knew how to slow LeBron down. Keep in mind he was only 22 years old at the time. There's even a famous clip from ESPN where LeBron is clearly disappointed when Kawhi checks into the game. The series in 2013 went to Game 7, as Ray Allen was a big reason for that, in which he hit the iconic game-winning three-pointer to take Game 6. The Heat were able to pull through and take the series win, as they won Game 7 with a score of 95-88. LeBron had some great totals as he averaged 25.3 points per game, 10.9 rebounds per game, and 7 assists per game, and he was named the Finals MVP. Unfortunately, the Spurs were not able to get the series win, but there is a lot of praise for taking the Heat to 7 games and clearly a big threat to the future of basketball. Kawhi Leonard, despite losing the series, had slowed down LeBron in this series while averaging 14.6 points per game, 11.1 rebounds per game, and 2 whole steals per game. He was still young and had plenty of time to improve. The Spurs regathered in the 2013-14 season and were hungry to get their revenge. Kawhi had one of his best defensive nights, recording a total of 4 steals and 4 blocks on March 4th, 2014. This Spurs team was looking really talented, and they were much better than their previous season, learning from their mistakes. Let's not forget they also had one of the best coaches in the league at the time, being Greg Popovich. In the first round of the playoffs, the Spurs just held on against the Mavericks to win in 7 games. Kawhi wasn't too much of a presence in this series, as the Spurs were led by Monty Ginobili, Tony Parker, and Tim Duncan. In the Western Conference semifinals, the Spurs defeated the Blazers in 5 games, where Kawhi stepped up for the team. He averaged 17 points per game, 7.6 rebounds per game, and 2.8 steals per game throughout the whole series. The Spurs were facing a young Oklahoma City Thunder in the conference finals, and they were able to get a ticket to the finals, defeating them in 6 games. Offensively, Kawhi's presence was missed, but he was able to shut down guys like Westbrook and KD, who would shoot 28 and 33% from the 3-point range, which was very unusual as the series before against the Clippers, they both shot over 35% from behind the arc. Meanwhile, the Heat would also book themselves a ticket to the finals, while defeating the Pacers in 6 games, led by their big 3 of LeBron, Wade, and Bosh. It was going to be a back-to-back finals appearance for both teams, and we'll take a look at what went different. After the series went down, an article was published by Bleacher Report. In this article, it showed the effectiveness of Kawhi's defense on LeBron and what he did to slow him down. On paper, it shows that LeBron didn't miss any more shots percentage-wise while being guarded by Kawhi. But Kawhi really did a good job on defense covering LeBron James, and here's why. The Heat were known to run their offense through LeBron, and on 75% of the Heat possessions, LeBron was able to touch the ball while being on the floor. When Kawhi was guarding him in the finals, he struggled to even touch the ball. That percentage was lowered by a whole 15%, as he was only able to touch the ball in 60% of the Heat plays while being on the floor. You also gotta remember LeBron is on the floor a lot more often in the finals compared to any of his other games, but despite this, his touches were still lowered by a whole 15%. Not only were his touches lowered, LeBron had fewer opportunities to drive and shoot. He was only able to shoot 70% of his 60% touches on the floor, meaning if he touched the ball 60 times, he would only shoot 17 times. Against any other defenders, he would shoot 34% out of his 75% touches on the floor. LeBron's percentage of driving was also lowered down by 10 when Kawhi was guarding him. I mean, this shows a lot. LeBron clearly figured out that he cannot get his offense going as well when being guarded by Kawhi Leonard, and that his teammates run the offense a lot more often during the 2014 NBA Finals. The first two games, the Heat and Spurs would split the series at 1 game apiece. Game 3 is extremely important for both teams, as this will most likely set the momentum to whichever team takes this game. So Game 3 starts, and LeBron has a scorching hot start. He scored 14 points in the first quarter while having 0 turnovers, but slowly, Kawhi seemed to have figured him out. Obviously here, Kawhi comes in for the help defense and is able to block LeBron, and this gave some hope for the Spurs. In this play here, LeBron is looking for options to get his offense running like usual. As you can see, Kawhi is playing smothering defense and pokes the ball away. The ball ends up in the hands of Allen, who has to force up a contested runner and it doesn't go. A few plays later, it looks like Wade has the ball here, but nope, not anymore. Kawhi just rips it out of his hands like it was nothing, and there's another turnover for the Heat right there. It looks like LeBron's handling the ball here. They're trying to get Ray Allen open, but nope, he does not. Gives it to Wade. He has Tim Duncan on him. Dishes it out to the corner, and it's going to go back to LeBron. And he has to take a bad shot because the shot clock's winding down, and Kawhi's able to contest it. The clock is winding down now, and LeBron has to take a contested floater, and it does not go, as it is halftime now. But as you can see, Kawhi just digging into the space of LeBron and just not giving it any room to create his own offense. And yeah, third quarter, here we go. LeBron has Kawhi on him, and he'd rather have Patty Mills, so he sets the screen for Mario Chalmers, and he gets exactly what he wants. He's calling for the ball in the low post, but the help defense is able to rotate, and Kawhi knocks the ball out of LeBron's hands. So we'll get a closer look here. Obviously, he just powers through Mills, but they're able to rotate, and there's another turnover for LeBron right there. So LeBron has Kawhi off him once again. He wants the ball, but Tim Duncan and Kawhi just pressure him to throw the ball away, and there's another turnover. In this game here, Kawhi's not only physically stopping LeBron from scoring the ball, he's mentally doing it as well. As you can see, LeBron has another turnover as Tony Brothers calls the travel on him, and LeBron's complaining. But we'll take a closer look here in just a second. As you can see, Danny Green is on LeBron James, not Kawhi. But Kawhi reaches in there, and LeBron gets intimidated by that, and he's forced to travel. In this play here, Kawhi's obviously guarding LeBron, and this is where the fans go crazy. Like, look at Kawhi's hand movement right now. His hands are just all up in James's face, and LeBron has to do something, but he can't. And the shot clock's winding down, and causes another team turnover. LeBron running the ball up the court here, and is met by Kawhi. He obviously doesn't want him, so he wants a switch, but the Spurs defense just doesn't let that happen. He loses the ball from a spin move, and LeBron is just extremely frustrated. I mean, the frustration clearly shows here. LeBron taking a horrible layup over Kawhi, seeing if anything can go through, and he's just at a loss of hope here, as the Spurs take this one, and takes the 2-1 series lead. Kawhi Leonard finished with a total of 29 points, 2 blocks, 2 steals, 2 assists, 4 rebounds, and 10 for 13 from the field. Remember when I said LeBron had 14 points and 0 turnovers after the first quarter? Yeah, so he finished with 22 points and 7 whole turnovers. After this game, the media goes crazy. Basketball fans are in absolute shock. I mean, the whole world was just notified that LeBron James wasn't unstoppable, and a man named Kawhi Leonard had it all figured out. So here you have it, guys. This is the game where Kawhi Leonard became the Claw, and on top of that, the Spurs ended up beating the Heat in 5 games, while Kawhi Leonard received the Finals MVP trophy. That concludes my time here, and if y'all enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. I make basketball related content, so if you're into that, I promise you it'll be worth it to hit that subscribe button. Make sure to check out my last video as well, and I hope to see everyone in my next video. Peace out.